Hey guys, it's John, small time bookseller, here with another video to tell you about all the things I've sold and what I haven't sold, and where I've been and where I wish I was, and things done and left undone, and all the chewy goodness that goes along with it. But mostly that first part about what I've sold. That's what we're going to talk about, and as you can tell, I've been displaced. So I'm in the craft room, the sewing room, the wife's room. Yeah. So we're going to just forget all about that. We're going to get through this video. We can do this thing. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. You ready? All right. So I'm going to be talking about what sold between January 11th and January 20th of this year. And it was good. Oh, it was good. You're going to want to hang around to the end of this one. Look at that. Just look at those numbers. There's some 3-digit numbers there. 3 digits to the left of the decimal on 4 different sales. Okay, all right. You know what I'm saying, huh? Yeah, you're gonna want to stick around for that, ain't you? Anyways, this is pretty much what I do. If you're new here, I just do videos about what I've sold. I buy books on and sell them, primarily books, not only books. I have several not books that I sell on eBay, and when I get time to do it, I'll make a video about what I've sold, and I'll come in and I'll tell you all about it. I don't do garage sale videos. I don't do, like yard sale videos. I don't do the GoPros, at the Goodwill bins and looking at my hands like monsters, which was safe to destroy the peace of mind of any young gentleman between the ages of 6 and 11 for the whole Christmas or midsummer vacation. No little monsters here. My poor maligned hands. I hope they don't, exact their revenge upon me at night sometime. And I'll wake up going, oh, I'm sorry, hands. I won't say such things about you. But they know that's not true. So we're going to get into it. As always, I'm going to go from least profitable book to the most profitable book. And my books I get primarily at the Goodwill bins up in Houston. I get some from some local thrift stores, and on the very rare occasion I happen to cut along a garage sale, I always look for books, but I never find them. So that's pretty much it as far as the early stuff here, and I think we can get into we can get into it. All right. So starting off with this one. All right. Just imagine this. For $8, for $8 measly dollars, you can learn the ultimate human secrets. Well, maybe not everyone, because as you can see from that picture, I don't know if you could tell, the whole front cover had a big chunk out of it, like it had been missing. So maybe not just for the average mortal. Maybe viewing the actual ultimate human secrets could, be a little distressing, and probably the average human couldn't handle that, so they had to damage the front cover. But that's sold for $8. Now, generally speaking, a book with a title like The Ultimate Human Secrets would sell for a lot of money. This one, partially because it was so heavily damaged, but also just because it just wasn't that worth that much. Maybe Ramzi Nijar didn't actually know the ultimate human secrets. All right, who knows? But anyways, that's sold for $8. So moving on, we have Sexual Identity and Faith, helping clients find congruence. That's sold for $9. Then we had Marriage on the Rock, 25th anniversary, comprehensive guide to a solid, healthy, so that's where it cuts off on my cheat sheet here, so healthy something. $9.25. So get those little single-digit ones out of the way. We're moving into the double digits now. Now is where we're getting into the real meat of the matters here. All right. Sold another one of these. Operator Handbook, Red Team, plus OSINT, plus Blue Team. $10. I have like 3 or 4 more of these. I should look to see what it is. Actually, I probably won't. I don't really care. So I'll just hopefully keep selling them. Then I had another, one of the very last few of the military aircraft books the AH-64 Apache paperback sold for $10. I had a question somebody mentioned in the last video about how to package books like that, because the majority of these military aircraft books that I picked up a long time ago and have just sold like crazy, and now I'm just occasionally I've just got a handful left, if any. They're smaller, often, you know, maybe 30-40 pages. Their paperbacks are thin. How do you ship those and make sure they arrive in good condition? So I'll either bubble wrap inside a mailer, or sometimes in a box. But another trick that you can do, it's not really a trick, I don't know, it's more of a game than a trick. And so in this game is called, you get a cereal box, and then I keep all the cereal boxes or boxes like that, you know, and for ephemera, for newspapers, for sports tickets, for anything that you definitely don't want to get bent, but often things that are a little bit larger. So these books fit really nicely inside that paperboard product, and then just tape it aside, kind of cut it to fit, and that can go inside a padded mailer. So that's one of the suggestions I have on shipping out things like that. Just keep all your paperboard products and save those for that specific purpose. All right, moving on. For $10.33, we sold a 1937 copy of The Whalers by Felix Maynard and Alexander Dumas. I believe that's before Bob Marley joined. It's just The Whalers. So, and then we had the Kreutzer, 42 Studies for Violin, by Rudolf Kreutzer, and that's over $12. Musical etudes, studies, things like that, definitely do sell. And so for oboe, for any instrument, I just happen to think oboe because I sold some recently. But yeah, musical etudes, musical studies are good ones to pick up. They're usually very, very smaller books. They're very cheap, and I recommend picking those up. And then, this is 2 videos in a row. I get to make this reference. Frabjous Day, Callooh, Calais. I sold a Lewis Carroll book. The complete, fully illustrated works, 1995 copy, sold for $13. I'm glad to be able to make that reference twice in 2 videos in a row. And then here, this is an interesting one. This is a 1931. It's a Swedish book, so I'm going to make my best educated guess on how to pronounce it. Brem Durens, volume 4. Is a leather, marbled, hardcover book. I can't remember what it is now, but it's an older book, and I've found several of these, and they look awesome. They just look like they should be from like the 1500s and worth millions, but they're not. They're, you know, worth 15s rather than millions. That's what that one sold for. So. Moving on, we have the Confederate Prisoners of War at Fort Delaware, sold for $15. This was basically a pamphlet. It was like 27-page pamphlet. And it was, but anything on Confederate, Civil War, things like that, definitely is worth checking into. And then we had the Complete Poetical Works of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Cambridge edition. Sold for $17.50. All right. Anything on those, like your classic poets, often there's a lot of books out there, and they're slow movers, but they will eventually sell. Especially the older copies, the older versions, in good condition. What's next? The 1948 Fall of Mussolini, His Own Story by Benito Mussolini, first edition, written, directed, and approved, and written, directed, and produced by Benito Mussolini. We had lighting and landscaping by B. Mussolini. There was a score, was written, directed, and performed by Benito Mussolini as well. Yeah, all him. Fundamentals of Heat and Mass Transfer by Frank Incropera. $20. You know, you figure, after you've been alive for quite a while, you figure you at some point would have heard all of the surnames that there are in the world. And then Frank Incropera comes along and was like, this one you haven't ever heard before, have you, huh? Incropera. Incropera? I don't know. Anyhow, $20 for that one. All right, moving on. We got Let's Get Biblical. Biblical. Why doesn't Judaism accept the Christian Messiah? And that's over $20. And we have the 150 most famous poems. Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost, William Shakespeare, whatever it includes my favorite poem. My beard, it grows to my toes. I never wears no clothes. I wraps my hair around my bear and down the road I goes. Classic. All right. Moving along, we have 10 Texas Tales, the first edition, first printing, sold for $20. Texas history, local history, no matter where you are, Texas history, probably going to sell. But your local histories are always going to be good sellers. Then we had Schaum's Outline of Theory and Problems of Differential and Integral Calculus. $20. Somebody paid money for that. Can you believe it? I couldn't. I was like, why do I have this thing in my house? I don't even want it. Yeah, take it. $20, sure, whatever. Then we have The Hardy Boys, A Great Airport Mystery. It's over $25. The mystery is there was no airport. I gotta make that joke 2 videos in a row too. I'm pretty happy about that. All right. Then we have these next 2 books sold. It was 2 different sales, but it was the same order. And so the same guy ordered the Atlas of the Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery Clinics, North America, March 1993 for $25. And the Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery Clinics, Volume 16.3, August of 04, odontogenic tumors. It's over $25. So a couple of those sold for $25. And the same guy who bought those 2 also bought the big sale at the end of the list. So I had to thank him heartily. It was a hearty thank you that I gave him. Then we have Bible, Marriage, and Cemetery Records for Anderson County, Texas. More Texas history. Any kind of genealogy or cemetery histories, or sometimes people will go out and just transcribe the cemetery headstones information and publish that. And that some of the times that can't be found online always, especially on more rural cemeteries. So sometimes these books are where you're going to find cemetery records. So those are always worth looking up. Army Historical Series, The Sinews of War, Army Logistics, from 1775 to 1953, sold for $25. This is an interesting one. This is the Atlas and Textbook of Human Anatomy in 1 volume. Heavily damaged. This is an older book, late 1800s, probably. The front cover was missing, and probably where there would have been a copyright page was missing as well. Judging from the other, the rest of the book, best I could tell, it was from the late 1800s. In this condition, it's over $25. So I think just beautiful illustrations all the way through it. Very old style of illustration. So if you found that one in really good shape, I'm sure it could go for obviously a lot more money than that. Then, where are we at? Okay. Landmarks of Civilization, Assyrian and Babylonian Literature. What made this one particularly cool is that it's from 1904. And so if it was a modern book on Assyrian and Babylonian literature, it might have value, but just being an old 1904 book, it just made it more appealing to me when I saw it, and I thought that it might sell, and it did for how much? $30. And then we have another Texas history book. I'm sorry to lay the Texas on you so thick, I really am, but it's The King Ranch, Volume 1, 1957. This is a first printing hardcover, and it sold for $36. All right, now we're coming up. Is this my first not a book? I believe it is, isn't it? Yeah. My first not a book. So I picked up some trains. I know nothing about trains. Well, I know some things about trains. Let's not, be too dramatic here. But I don't know a lot about collecting trains and what people are looking for. So I was in the Goodwill bins, cardboard box full of trains and train parts. I picked out the cars and the engines, allotted them together, said, hey, I know nothing about this stuff. Talked about it in an earlier video, and how I put it up at auction and ended up selling it and ended up refunding part of it, because even though I put as is and I don't know anything, I don't know what these are, the guy was like, the main engine in there was, something was missing on it to where it really wasn't apparently usable. So as a lot, they sold for $51, but then I did end up refunding, I think, I don't remember how much, $20 maybe, I refunded back. All right, now, last four, triple digits. We're getting into the triple digits here. And the first one is this. It's another not a book. It's a vintage Resistol Diamond Horseshoe 110 Las Vegas cowboy hat size, $700. $100. This is one that I picked up at the Goodwill bins, and it was in pretty rough shape. And I had 3 hats that were all in pretty rough shape, and I took them to a hat guy. I took them to George, the hat guy up in Houston, and paid about $15 each for them to just get kind of steam cleaned and formed. So not a deep cleaning, not a lot of damage repair, just steamed and formed. And I sold this one, ended up selling for $100. Then we have this. This is surprising that it sold for this much. The Lease Option Cash Flow System by Ron LeGrand, book and 6 CDs, sold for $100 as well. Who knew? I sure didn't. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. That just, I was one of those where you scan it at the bins and you're like, yeah, right. Come on. That's not going to sell for anywhere near that. Let's just say it's worth a 50-cent gamble, and you throw it in the cart. And you bring it home and you list it and it sells, and you do a video on it 6 months later. That's what that's like. And then we have 2 more. Okay, here's another not a book. The New Vintage Century Quilt Blocks by Joanne. This is steps 1 through 12 plus the setting kit. So the whole shebang, everything you need to make the quilt. $125. I got a whole bunch of this and a whole bunch of other quilting stuff for $5 at my thrift store near my work. They just had it like taped together a bunch of stuff. I went through it. There's a complete set. There's other parts that I've sold. I probably sold everything in that bundle that I got for $5. 100, 200, probably close to $300 I've sold that stuff for. So it was a really good pickup. And then the big sale is this one. This is another guy. These are all overseas too. So those 2 books earlier that I mentioned on the oral and maxillofacial surgery clinics, those went overseas, and this lot did too. So I picked up a lot of 26 volumes of the oral and maxillofacial surgery clinics from North America from 1993 to 2001, and $320 for those 26 volumes. So that was a heavy box, and I was worried. I was checking the tracking every day, and of course it went overseas, so it took forever, but it did finally get there, and I was really glad, because that guy, between those 2, he spent $370. Who knows how much he paid in shipping to hit that overseas, because it was heavy. So that was the big sale of the time period here. I'm pretty happy with that. So what does that give us? That's a total of $1,159.08. Not bad for 10 days. Not bad for 10 days for me. Actually, that's really, really good. Book average was, I had $783 on 26 sales. I didn't break that up into like 26 books. Those are just individual sales, which averaged to $30.12, well above my completely arbitrary and made up figure of $25 that I consider a good sales period. Not a books. I knew they're going to be good. I knew they're going to be good, but I really was just aiming for the stars on this one, because I said $94. I want an average of $94. Nothing less. And I had 4 sales for $3.76, which averages to $94. Thank you very much. And I think that's all I've got on my cheat sheet. So I think that's all I've got to say. So there. I don't really have anything else to add right now. Hope you all are just selling the heck out of a bunch of stuff. And, you know, you hope you got a good spot to make videos from. Actually, this has been kind of nice. It's pretty quiet back here, at least. And I think it might work out pretty well. Tell me what you think of the background. So, yeah, I will be hopefully seeing you sooner rather than later. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And I don't have a hat, and I'm not, oh, maybe no, I'm not even going to bother with the hat today. I forgot about the hat. That's the problem with waiting so long in these videos. I'll see you next time. Adios.